Hello ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for watching my video. As everybody knows, I posted back last month that starting December 5th 2020 that I'm going to do cooking lessons for those who want to learn how to cook. So this video is going to show you just a little bit of what I know what to do and what I cook. Now this little dish that I'm making here is called taco salad. The reason I'm calling it that is it's the way it's made, and no, it doesn't have lettuce, but it does have meat. I've already grounded 2 pounds. I've already grounded 2 pounds of ground beef right here in the skillet. Now my ground beef is froze, and that's not a bad thing, because what you can do is you can put it in there and you can slowly cook it and put it on a low flame, and you just kind of attend to it every few minutes by flipping it. Now this is I cooked 2 pounds at this point. Here's the hamburger meat in the pack. It's a pound. This is 1 pound, but I had to cook 2 pounds because the stuff that I found was actually not enough, was more than enough for 1 pound. So like I said, I went ahead and did the ground beef and got it grounded. As you can see, it's grounded up. You have to forgive me a little bit. I'm lefty and I'm trying to use my right hand. Now what you want to do is stir that ground beef. Now what you're wanting to do is stir the ground beef and get it good and brown. And as you can see the oil in it from the beef, where the beef is cooked. You see it coming out in it. Now what you're going to need to do what I'm talking about doing is very simple. This is stuff that you have in your household, or if not, you can always pick it up. You can always grab it at the store. This is a box of Garden Rotinis, as you can see, and that's it, and it's right here in the bowl. That's what I use. You can use, you can actually use macaroni. I haven't tried the spaghetti yet, but you can use the macaroni parts, the macaronis, the elbow parts. You can actually use that to help make it. Now this time I'm using the Rotios because of the color, stuff like that, because of the coloring of it. Now, normally, when you cook a pound of ground beef, you use 1 cup. That's what I use to get the number of noodles I want in it. Now, in a single ground beef, I put tomato paste and diced tomatoes, and then I put in taco seasoning. That's why I call it the taco salad. But in this case, my puree that I use is a big can, so that's going to be too much for 1 pound of ground beef. So I'm going to go ahead and cook 2 ground beef. The reason I'm doing that is I don't want to have to separate this and divide it for 1 pound. I'm going to go ahead and cook the whole thing together, so that when I get done, I can put it in the bowl and we can eat from that and share it out like that, share it out that way. It's real simple. It don't take that very long. Like I said, the ground beef being frozen doesn't matter. You can put that in there and slow cook it on low heat, flipping it, grinding it off and flipping it. Now if it's not frozen, it's just as good. You just have to tend it a little bit longer. But as you can see, I've got everything open and ready to go except for the powder, and I don't want to open that because I'm not knock it off and spill it. That'll be the last thing I put in. Now, after the ground beef is good and brown, don't drain your oil off of your ground beef. Do not drain the oil off of it. Leave it like it is. Leave the oil in it, because you're going to need the oil for flavoring for your ramen noodles or your macaroni, whichever one you want to use to make it. like I said, now I haven't tried spaghetti sticks. I don't think that would actually be, to me, I don't think it'd be that good, but I know that the little macaronis and the little dewies that raviolis and stuff like this will give it color. If you got kids, will give it some coloring for them to look at. What we will do is, once the ground beef is completely ground brown, which is almost ready, we'll add all the stuff to it and let it simmer. Okay, now that I've gotten my ground beef ground and brown all the way through, and I've stirred it. Now, like I said, now you don't drain the oil because you're going to need that. Now, what I want you to do, in this case, I want you now to add your tomatoes. Put the tomatoes in it. In this case, I'm having to use 2 cans because I don't have a large one, so I might have to use 2 cans. Now that you got your tomatoes in there, you need to stir it. Now that I've got my tomatoes in there, and I've stirred them real good, you want to stir them in, and you want to keep your heat low. You don't want to keep your flame on low, because you're not trying to fast cook this. You want it to cook real good. Sometimes slow cooking is a lot better than just fast cooking something out. In this case, you actually want to slow cook it a little bit, because you're going to be taking your time. Alright, now that I have my tomatoes in there, now that I have my tomatoes in the pan and have them stirred real good, got them stirred and showing them to be stirred real good, I'm going to add my tomato paste and my sauce to this thing. You're going to continue slow, but remember to keep your flame down low. You don't want to do this real fast because you want to make it look good and taste good too. So you want to kind of simmer it, and you're going to simmer it after you're done cooking. So that's going to be the good part about it. Now that I've got that done, I'm going to go ahead and add my tomato paste to it. So I'm going to get my tomato paste, and I'm going to add my tomato paste to it. Now this is a small can. It's a little smaller than I wanted. It needs to be a little bit bigger, but that's okay. I've got enough, I think, to make it taste, give it the flavory taste that it's supposed to have. So we're going to get that out, get that in there, and yes, you're going to kind of get it all over you, so be ready to wipe your hands off a little bit. Let's get this out of here. Now, I've got all the tomato paste out. All the tomatoes gone. And I'm going to put my spoon in here because we're going to need it again here in just a minute. Clean my fingers off. Wipe my hands off. Real good. So now that I've got my tomato paste in, I'm going to stir it in. You're going to do that real slow. It's not going to be a fast thing. You just want to take your time with it. And do it real, get it in there. It doesn't matter if it spreads out right then or not. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick and you're going to take it. And if you'll notice, I'm using a spatula. The pan I'm using is called a wok. Now that's because I don't have a real deep pan, and this is the only thing that I've got that's deep enough to do what I want to do. Now, a lot of people will take a spoon, but I like to use a spatula because I can take my hand and I can hold it and I can angle it. And I'm going to go in, if you'll notice, I'm going in little circles to make this work. What that does, it allows your spoon, allows the spatula to cut the meat. Give it a little ridge in it, allows you to cut it, and stir it in, and then you can take the spatula, pick it up, flip it, and do it again. you have a little more control. It doesn't matter what falls off inside the pan because all you're doing is stirring. Okay. Now, I've got the Puree paste in there a little bit. Now I'm going to add the tomato paste, tomato juice. As you see, it just pours kind of right out. That's to give it a little flavor, a little extra flavor, give you the tomato flavors. You've got your tomatoes in it. Now I normally have mushrooms that I want to put in here, but I noticed when I was in the cabinet I didn't have any, so that's going to be left out. But that's no big deal. Mushrooms are here or there, so you can actually put a little other stuff in there that you might like, that you like, or that you think somebody else will like. Now I'm going to clean up just a little bit, get a little more room here. Now that I've got the tomato paste and tomato sauce in there, the Puree, I'm once again going to stir it again. You're going to be stirring it quite a bit, so it's not a big deal if it doesn't get mixed in right then, because you're going to be doing a chef thing with this. You're not going to just throw it in here and take a spoon and whip it like whipping batter. You're going to be doing this quite a bit while you're cooking. I'm thinking it takes right around 45 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, 45 minutes tops to do this, because you're going to do it slowly. If you want to speed it up, you can, but I recommend doing it slow. That way you get everything in it, you don't lose nothing, and it makes it come out real good. Now, just so you can see, now that I've got everything in there, this is kind of what it looks like. Okay. Now that it's in there, and I've got it stirred, I'm going to add my seasoning to it. Now this is taco seasoning. That's why I call it taco salad, because I use taco seasoning. And you can get mild, you can get it hot, you can get it whatever you want, and put that in. Now in this case, since I've had to cook 2 pounds, I'm going to put 2 packs in there, because each pack is for a pound. So I'm going to get the 2 packs in. This one I'm on. And then once you get the 2 packs in, you want to stir them up now. You want to stir that in there. That's another thing. You ain't got to worry about it. Try to keep your sauce towards the middle. Don't worry about the lumping. You're going to beat that out soon enough. I'll take my spatula. This is another reason I like the spatula. I take the spatula and go around the pan. Bring it all in the center, and now I just start taking the spatula and rolling it. What I'm doing now is getting the taco seasoning down inside it to where it will come loose. That's why I said don't worry about the lumping, because if you're going to knock that out of there, you're going to be stirring it just a little bit more. You're not quite done with the chip. Now, like I said, now from start to finish, maybe an hour tops. I've never really timed it, but I don't do things very fast, so I don't worry about time unless it's a schedule. And right now we're not on no schedule. We're going to get this done, and we're going to make taco salad that can be eaten right out of the pan. And kids love it. I know I love it. It's a good, quick meal involving simple stuff in the store. Alright, now that I've got it up, I'm going to turn the flame up just a tad. Just a tad, because I've got so much in the pan now, and here's another reason I'm turning it up. I am fixing to add the noodles to it. In this case, it's the Rotini's, that I'm going to add to it. Now, like I said, you can use macaroni in it if you want to. This time I'm going to use the Rotini's for color. That's why I said don't pour your grease out, because your grease is going to be a part of it. because the greenies is going to take up and soak up a lot of this itself because you're going to be cooking. Now once you do this, this is where the time comes in and getting it done. Now I'm going to add my first cup to it. And I'm going to go ahead and stir that in a little bit. Alright, now that I got that one in, I'm going to go ahead and add the second cup. Now you can add more or you can take away, depending on what you want to do. In this case, I'm adding more because this is actually a taco salad, and this is something that I want to cook. Now, want to eat on for a few days, so I'm going to add more to it because I added another pound. And I may have to add a little bit more to it. Might not actually be enough. I may have to add about half a cup more, which is not hard to do. Now, you want it, once you get it in, as you can see, I'm doing the flip on it. I'm actually flipping it. I'm taking the spatula and I'm bringing it up, and then I stir it and I bring it up. And that's to keep it from running out the side of my pan, keep it from sticking to the side of my pan, and it goes everything back to the middle of the pan. In this case, my wok. In this case, it's my wok that I'm using. And see, I can take the spatula and go down the side of it and keep it up to the middle, or the spoon is not going to do that. I like using my spatula. And I'm going to stir it. Now this is where it's going to take a little bit of time. You said you might want to turn the fire up just a little bit more because now you got more in it. But in the beginning you want to slow cook, and you want to simmer this too. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to burn it or scorch it on the bottom. So you just, and as you see, I'm just kind of turning it and stirring it. Knock the spatula off. And now I'm going to let it set for a few minutes and let it begin to heat, because that's how you're going to cook the noodles that you just put in it. So like I said, now if you can see, you'll notice a little puff of steam coming out of it, and that means it's getting the fire. That means it's getting hot underneath it, and that will be a sign that it's heating up. So now, since it's doing that, and you can actually see it, I can see it from right here looking in the video myself. Now you want to stir it some more. So now you know it's gotten the meat, it's gotten the steam to it. It's getting heated. So you stir it some more. I always take a spatula and go all the way down to the middle of the pan and bring it up. Like I'm doing right here, all the way around, all the way to the middle. And you don't want to scorch it on the bottom. That's where you heat it. Now, since I've gotten this done, and this is why I kept the spoon that I use for that. I'm going to take the spoon, I'm going to shake, stir it just a little bit. Get what's on the spoon off. Now, I'm going to take a little bite of it to see how it tastes. And I definitely taste the taco, so that's what I want. I want to taste the seasoning. Out of this whole thing, I want to taste that seasoning. I already know I can taste the tomatoes, I already know I can taste the paste, everything's going to come in. And now you want to let it simmer, and this is where you're going to want to stir it a little along the way until you get your shells cooked. Like I said, I cook the meat probably about 10 to 15 minutes above this video. So right now I'm saying at least 30 minutes is the minimum to make this and to make it right. 45 tops if you're doing it real slow and doing other things. This is not something you want to just like cooking hamburger meat. If you leave it in the bottom too long, it'll burn, and that's why you consistently stir it. It's going to have to simmer. I don't have a top to it. You don't necessarily have to have one, but you can do it just like I'm doing it right here. And what you want to do now is the noodles. The way you're going to know it's ready is when you take your spatula. When you take your spatula and you put the noodle up against the side of the pan and it cuts. That's how you know your noodles are now ready. Well, that's what you're waiting on in this pan right now, is for the noodles to get done. So that's why you're having to slow to simmer cook it now, and stirring is definitely going to be a part of what you're doing. Like I said, about 30 minutes. This video is probably going to be about 35 to 40 minutes. If I had actually done everything else, it probably would have been just a little bit longer, because I had to get the meat out, and I went ahead and cooked the meat before I started the video. That will be something we will do in class when you start, when you sign up and want to learn how to cook. That will be what we'll do in class. Now, this is something that just about anybody can do. If you can burn water, you can just about cook this. And now you want to cook, now you want to let it simmer, and that's what we're going to do here until the noodles are actually tender. Again, I'll say that real easy for you so that while you're doing your cooking, you'll understand. We'll take the noodle, a little noodle right here. You just want to find you one. We'll put it up next to the pan, and we'll take a spatula and heat it. And if your spatula cuts it, then it has soaked up the juices and it is cooked and it's pretty much ready. After you are able to cut the first one, about 2 to 5 minutes later, check another one, and then about 2 minutes later, check another one. And if you continue to cut them real easy, then you're pretty much on the road to being done. It's pretty much ready to be served right then. So right now, these right here take just a little bit longer to cook than the macaroni. The smaller they are, the quicker they'll cook. So what I'm going to do now is just give you a quick glance at what you will have while we're letting this cook. I'm going to ease my flame back down because I don't want to burn it. But I'm going to unattend it for just a minute and show you. Now, once you're done cooking it and you're ready to serve, and get tortilla sauce, get any kind you want. Get this mild, get it hot, get it medium, get a big jar, a little jar. The good thing about this is you can, everybody can eat something different, because you're going to put this in after you get it out. You're going to put this in a bowl and then put this on top of it. This is the last thing you will do with this after you're done cooking. So at this point in time, I'm going to have to let the food cook for a little bit before I can do that. But it's not that hard. Once it's done, you just get yourself a bowl or a plate. You get a plate. In this case, I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to get a plate. You take the plate, take your spatula, stir it before you get it out. Always stir it. And then you get you however much you put it on your plate, and put as much as you want on the plate. Once you're done, with that. Once you're done with the plate, once you're done putting it on the plate, then take